What is going on, everybody? I hope everybody's enjoying their week. If you're new to my channel, my name is Black Apino, the Apple Guy, and I want to welcome you onto my channel. And today I'm going to be doing a review of my newer 35mm lens. Now, if you're not familiar with this lens, I actually ordered this off of Amazon, did an unboxing of it, and did a little bit of a talking about it. And I'll drop that in the card to the side. And I also did a unboxing of a Panasonic 25mm, which I also have in the cards below. That way you kind of won't get confused in what I'm talking about, because I'm not a lens expert, so I know a little bit about lenses in terms of what I'm using it for. So if you are not really sure the differences between a 35mm and a 25mm, take a look at those two videos and that'll explain it a little bit better. So I'll just kind of go briefly into what this lens is about and why I bought it. So currently, the lens on my G85 is a 14 to 42mm lens. So basically what that means is that it's a zoom lens, so it's a prime zoom lens. So basically that means I can zoom in as close as 14mm or zoom out as far as 42mm. That means that I can get it's a wide angled lens. So basically everything you see in the back is wide angled, and I have it at about the 42, or I might have it at the 18mm setting. So if I were to zoom out and put it at its max 42mm, you'll kind of get a more better understanding as to what I mean. So I'm just going to stay right there. That is 42mm. So actually I got it reversed. So as I said before, I'm not really good at a lens expert, but that is a 42mm lens. And right now, as you can see, that's close, but that's too close. So as you can see, it kind of cuts off the rest of my head. It just looks weird. So if I were to do maximum out all the way up to 14mm, which is what I have it at now, you get a much wider angle. So say you want to in between, where you don't want to sit there and kind of have to, depending on your situation, how you're doing your vloggings, you don't need all that background in the back when you're doing it. Well, you can sit here and you can just simply just zoom and manual till it looks good. And then you know, as you see, it makes it very difficult for you to kind of gauge that. So then you kind of have to manually as you're doing that. And so what it was I wanted a prime lens that kind of gave me that focal point length without having to do all this manual zooming or zooming in, or having to kind of mess with the dials in terms of just how that worked. So I was looking on YouTube, and I was looking at some of the videos for, you know, just manual or focus lenses. Now, what I mean by prime lens and kit lenses is that with prime lenses, they are at a certain zoom point. So 35mm means that you get nothing but 35mm between where your camera sits and you. So that's 35mm from where you sit, from where the camera's sitting at. So if you want a much more tighter, more interview kind of, I guess, lens, then you would probably want to stick between the 14 and the 35mm, because it's going to give you a much better depth of field. And again, like I said, I'm not a lens expert on this. I'm just going by my experiences with the lenses that I have. And right now, as I said before, this is a 14 to 42mm lens. So as you can see, if I wanted to get more of a zoom in, if I put it at 14mm, which is the maximum for that, it tends to cut off my head. And if I want a more open, exposed background, then I put it again at a maximum of 42. But what if I wanted something that was in between, where I didn't have to kind of focus back and forth between the two? Well, this new lens that I bought from Neewer, which is a 35mm prime focal lens, which basically means that it is stuck at the 35mm, was the perfect choice. And again, when I saw it, it was a $70 lens. Now, I'll have in the link in the descriptions in the two cards below or to the side. I actually did an unboxing of a 25mm, and again, I did an unboxing of this, but didn't go too much into depth with it. So I have those two in the cards there. And if you stay into the end of the video, I'll kind of have some video footage of the differences between me using my kit lens and the 35mm. So just so you can kind of get a gauge of the differences between the two. Now, what do I mean by fixed focal? That basically means, again, it's a 35mm lens. That's it. There's no zooming in at 14. There's no panning out at 42. It is at the 35mm focal length, which means it gives me a much better depth of field. So I can literally set my camera as far as I want and still get not as much of a wide angle, but still get more of a close view, kind of like an interview style lens, if that makes sense. So, and it's also manual focus. So unlike the kit lens, where you can just simply just tap on the shutter button and it focuses for you through the camera, This actually, you have to manually focus it. So what do I mean by manually focus? You see these little dials here. You actually have to manually turn those to get your subject in focus. And on the back, there is no digital at all. You just simply just connect it, twist, and then you do all your focusing and all of your adjusting from the lens itself. And don't worry if you don't know what I mean, because I'm actually going to switch between the kit lens to the 35mm lens here in a few seconds. So that is the main difference between the kit lens and a prime lens. And I'm going to show you the difference right now. I'm going to actually switch from the 42 or the 14 to 42 to the 35mm, and we're going to do that now. Now, as you can see, I'm actually shooting on the 35mm. So notice how the background is not as much exposed. It's not as wide angle. It's a little bit more kind of tight gripped in. That's a good word to use, but basically this means that the background is not as much exposed. You don't see more of the background. You're more focused on the subject. So that's what I mean by depth of field. I wanted something that would give me the same results, but without having to manually focus, zooming in and zooming out. That's nice if you're doing any type of landscaping or land scenes or something like that, or if you're doing any type of product reviews and you're doing something that you want to manually focus in on a detail or something like that. But in terms of this is much easier because then I actually still have my camera in the same corner. It's just now all I have to do is just push it back a little bit further while still staying in the same spot, but you're not noticing anything in the background. So you don't see my bed as exposed at all. It's just mostly just from my head down. And this is what I call my interview style when it comes to my vloggings. This is the kind of vlogging I like to do. And if I feel the need to actually have to show what's in the background, if I want to do something, or if I get like a background, I want to show something, or if I'm standing up doing a review or something like that, then yes, I will use my zoom lens. But when it comes in terms of just lenses in general, this is literally going to be my main lens that I will be using on my G85. Now, another thing that differentiates this from all other lenses is that typically these lenses do not come with any type of stabilization. So when you're walking around or doing any type of vlogging, you want to make sure that you're holding the camera in a way that you're getting as little amount of shaking as possible, because it is very apparent when you have a camera that has stabilization but your lens does not. You still notice it very much so. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to these types of lenses. They're not stabilized at all. But again, in terms of if you're not doing that much landscape, if you're not doing that much running and gunning with this particular type of lens, when it comes to just doing any type of vloggings of any kind, this is definitely the perfect focal length for any such camera or for any such YouTuber that loves to do that type of style vlogging. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching, and again, I'll have a link in the cards over here to the side that I do an unboxing of the newer 35mm, as well as I did a review on the Panasonic 25mm. I'll have those up there, and then I'll have a link in the description on where you can get these at. Now, these come in a variety of different forms. This one's for a micro four thirds, so I'll have a link in the description for the micro four thirds, as well as for the ones for the Canons and the Sonys. I'll have that all in the link down below. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and please feel free to browse my channel. If this video was helpful, hit that thumbs up and hit that bell notification. That way you don't miss any content when I drop it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And my name is Black Apino the Apple Guy, and have a great week.